Hi, I'm Russell Cummings. Welcome to the Horticulture, the Next Generation webinar on improving personal productivity. This is the first webinar in a series, and we look forward to having you. We hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to having you as part of the next few. Now, Horticulture, the Next Generation program is funded by HAL and the Agri-Food Skills Australia, and its aim is to improve the business and leadership skills of the Australian horticultural industry. My name's Russell Cummings. I'm the project leader, and I'm a consultant and business coach with over 26 years experience of working in the agricultural and horticultural sectors, as well as major commercial sectors. And I, with my partners Mindshop, we've been delivering the Horticulture the Next Generation program since June of 2012, or June of this year. What is the program? Well, it's a leadership program specifically for the Australian horticulture industry. We have a broad cross-section of people. Currently we have 50 industry leaders, and part of an intensive part of that program, we are doing face-to-face training workshops with them. They're participating in online training courses. We've given them an online resource centre and significant individual one-on-one coaching support. For the wider industry, they now have access to some online training courses, and there's more information on that at the end of this program. And we've set up a website to help navigate all this. You'll find it at www.horticulture-nextgeneration.com.au. You can also get it through .com, but it's .com.au. And there on that website, there's a whole heap of things that you can get involved in. There's resources and all sorts of other stuff there, calendars and different things. We've also set up some social media pages. So on LinkedIn, we have a special closed discussion forum that you can have access to as a horticultural leader. Just set up a profile on LinkedIn and join us there, where you can make online discussions with other people in the horticultural industry. We also have a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and a Twitter account. And we are currently in the process of developing a simple app to help you navigate this on your smartphone or portable device. We are also running webinars, and this is the first of those I've mentioned. And on the website you can subscribe to our regular newsletter, and we'd encourage you to do that because it will keep you up to date with recent developments, latest activities, and encourage you to participate in the program. So go to the website to get all that. The links for all the social media and that sort of stuff, you'll find those on the website. Anyway, we're here today to talk about personal productivity. And for me, personal productivity is summarised, I guess, the journey of improving is summarised in this model. Now, this is a pyramid that we also use to look at business improvement, but I find it works just as well for productivity. And I guess what I find is that to really improve personal productivity, there are three key stages. The first stage is the stage we call the structural stage, and this is about I guess using time management tools and productivity tools to improve your structure. Improve the structure, to improve how you do things. So it's really much about taking control of your time and doing a better job. Second stage is about waste, and for me that's making sure you're doing the right things. So that's about prioritizing your activities and other things. The third stage is about your belief systems, and often this has the biggest impact on your productivity. I find that many people, myself included, have done all the time management courses, I've read all the books, got all the tools, yet we're still lousy time managers or poor time managers or inconsistent time managers. Why is that? It's often because of some mental models that we have or our belief systems. So for me, I found that I was a lousy time manager because I wanted to be busy all the time. Why did I want to be busy? Because I found my belief was that busy people were important people and busy people were successful. Once I got over that and realised that wasn't true, then my time management has proved out of sight, and I'm a far better time manager now than I've ever been, simply by overcoming that. For others, I find they have this underlying need to please people. Therefore, they can never say no. So they're on every committee, every structure, they take on every project, they do everything they need to do in order to to do this. And as a result, they're lousy time managers. So one of the important things you can do, and we don't have time to go into it today, is to really understand the underlying psychology or mental models that make you a good or a poor time manager. It's up to you to understand that, because they have a big impact on personal productivity. This is a tool that I'm going to introduce you to, because I find that most people have no idea how they spend their time. This is a simple tool we call a time management audit, or simply a time audit. And all you do is keep track of the time you spend in some key categories. And the categories we've put here under issue are family, learning, sleep, self-work, travel, fitness. Now for you, you can come up with whatever categories you like that are important for you. You may want to break work out separately and look at it separately, or maybe you just want to do work. It's up to you. Most of us spend most of our waking hours working and doing things related to work, so it's often important that we understand how we're spending that time, because if we're more effective in our work environment, that often means we can save time that we can put into other parts that we'd like to do. So the model basically says, track your time, work out where you are now in terms of your time, and then set a bit of a plan up that says, where do I want to be with that? Yeah, and therefore what changes must I make if ever I'm going to be successful? My advice is try it and do it for a day or two and keep a track of it. Or you may need to go for as long as a week or even a month, really, to get a good picture of how you spend your time. But if your days are reasonably consistent, you may be able to do it in a day or two and get a good hand. I guess the thing is, start today, don't start tomorrow. Start today with this, because the sooner you get your head around where you spend your time, the better off you'll be. When we talked about stage 2, it was about reducing the waste, or more importantly, making sure we're doing the right things. And for this, I find there's a great model here, which is Stephen Covey's model from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that, Stephen Covey, who just passed away recently, which is a terrible loss, but in it, his great book, he had this model in it, and he broke time up into things, whether they're urgent or not urgent, or whether they're important or not important. And if you put them into a matrix, you end up with 4 quadrants. Now, quadrant 1 activities are things that are urgent and important, and they're things like crises and pressing deadlines, and all the bushfires we have to put out in life, all the things we'd run around pushing out. So if your life is full of chaos, it's because you're spending most of your time in quadrant 1. Now, quadrant 2 activities are those activities that are really important but not urgent. So they're like building relationships and planning and strategy and training and fitness and family and time for yourself. All those things are really important to do. Quadrant 3 activities are urgent but not important, and they're interruptions, phone calls, mail. I often find that they are things that are quadrant 1 activities for other people, or things that are important to other people but not necessarily important to me. Now, it doesn't mean you don't do them, it just means we need to make time to fit them in, and if we can, we need to minimise the ones times we do. And the 4th, I guess, are the time wasters. Things that are not urgent and not important, but they're the things that we tend to do that waste time. So if you're spending lots of time surfing YouTube and looking at funny videos and things, then that's probably a quadrant 4 activity when you should be working. Now, my experience is, the more time you spend in quadrant 2, the less time you spend in quadrant 1. So the more time you spend doing more strategic actions and more strategic things, then the less time you will spend in quadrant 1. And I've proven over a number of years that it works. And the trick is to actually free up some time so you actually spend some time here. For me, I found that I was unable to do it during the normal working week, the Monday to Friday working week. So I started doing an extra hour or two of quadrant 2 activity stuff on a Saturday morning. It didn't take long before I was able to do that on a Friday afternoon, and it wasn't long before it freed up enough time for me to start doing this stuff on a Tuesday morning. So what I ended up with was a time where I'm spending, on average, a day a week working on quadrant 2 activities. My business grew as a result, and amazingly, I had more free time from spending more time in quadrant 2. So that's really important. My business coach, really painful individual, often says to me, okay, you want to spend 20% more of your time doing this, what are you going to give up? So what are you going to stop doing? And I think that's a really important question. And when I stop doing things, I guess there are 4 actions I can take. I can stop doing it completely. I can delegate it to somebody internal to my organisation, so I can give that task to somebody else to do. I can outsource it, so that's about delegation to an external organisation. So I have outsourced bookkeeping activities in my business. I no longer keep the books in my business. I've outsourced that to a client of mine who runs a great bookkeeping service. Or you can re-engineer the task or the process that you're talking about, so it takes like 10% of the time, and you free up that time to do things. So some of the ways you can actually spend more time doing quadrant 2 activities. Now, how I use this, I actually write out a task list, and I put urgent and important across the top, and I go down and look at each task and tick it off, and then I make sure I plug some of the quadrant 2 activities in. I also make sure that I fit things in around quadrant 2 activities rather than putting them off. So a really important model. There's a lot more on this in Stephen Covey's book. It's well worth reading. Stage 1 is about taking control. And stage 1 is the structure, about getting it right. And good productivity improvement, personal productivity, is about taking control of your environment. And I just want to quickly run you through some of the tips and tools that I use and some of the concepts you need to think about if you're going to take control. The first question I get asked all the time is, should I be using a paper or an electronic system? It doesn't matter. You need to find something that works for you. I have plenty of clients who use paper-based diary systems and are very, very efficient and effective time managers. They're a great thing. Others, I personally use electronic systems because I like to have my stuff with me on my phone or my iPad or on my desktop. So wherever I am with a client, I can be making changes to my diary and doing things I need to do. So for me, that's important. If you're part of a bigger organisation, then often electronic stuff allows you to share your calendar with other people, so you can be more effective. Doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, you've got to find a system that works for you. Big rocks theory. So this is again some stuff out of Covey. An example he used was, if you have a big glass container and some large rocks, some small pebbles, some gravel, some sand, and some water you have to put into that container. Unless you put the big rocks in first, it doesn't work. You can't fit it in. So many people try and put all the small things in first and then slip the big rocks in. You've got to go the other way around. You've got to put the big rocks into your time management and make sure you do those and fit those into your planning. For me, family is really important, and I try and I've got 2 young girls that my daughters. I like to see them in their sporting activities and cultural activities at their school and that sort of stuff. So I make sure that I block all that stuff out well in advance, and it's amazing how other things just seem to fit around sports carnivals and cultural events and those sort of things. But if I didn't put them in, I couldn't fit them in. So put the big rocks in first, put your quadrant 2 activities in your diary and in your planning systems first, so you make sure they get done. We've already talked about stop doing, and that a big part of that is delegation and elimination. With delegation, though, I find that most people are poor delegators. So they often don't take the time to delegate well, so therefore they don't do it. So delegation is a skill. There's some simple things that you can do to be a good delegator. Most people don't do those, and therefore it's never as effective as they'd like. Go and look up delegation in Google and understand what you need to do. And elimination is important. Understand the things you no longer need to do and that you're not going to do anymore, and therefore free up some time to do that. Another important thing about taking control is chunking and deadlines. So for me, one of the big issues for people is that with a big task, they'll often procrastinate and put it off until it becomes a quadrant 1 activity, until it's urgent and important and they have to get on and do it. And therefore then they jump in and start doing it. But if you break it down into smaller chunks early on and start doing them and working on them, you'll be surprised how productive you can be. The other thing to do is set yourself deadlines. Realistic deadlines that you can meet, but set deadlines. We often trick our minds into meeting those deadlines. So if you break down the chunks into small pieces and set a deadline for when you're going to get it done, then that's often a great thing to do, and will help you get through those big projects quickly. In terms of email, it's one of the biggest time wasters. If you have a little notification on your email system that pops up and tells you that you've got an email arrived, turn it off. The statistics are that for every interruption it will take you somewhere between 4 and 15 minutes to get back to the same level of concentration you were previously. So if you're having 4 or 5 interruptions in an hour, you're probably not getting much done. Email is one of the biggest interrupters, and you'll often find that people will go and check their email continuously every 10 minutes during the day. My recommendation is you check it once in the morning. Not the first thing you do. The first thing you do in the day is actually plan your day and get that ready. Then check your email, and you might check it at lunchtime and check it again in the afternoon. If you're finding that people are expecting that you respond instantly to their emails, then you are probably they're probably contacting you via the wrong media, and they should be calling you or doing something else rather than sending you an email expecting an instant response. The other great trick for effectively managing your email is to use the rules function in Outlook or Apple Mail or whatever program you use. And what that does is use criteria to sort your email for you into inboxes. So what you do is create a series of inboxes on the side and a series of rules that sort your mail into that inbox. So what I do in mine is all the regular newsletters and emails and all that sorts that come in that are informative, I have them sorted into things. All my client emails get sorted into a particular mailbox for each client. Therefore, I've just got to run down the boxes and have a look for any bolded numbers beside them. That means I haven't answered that email, and I'll have a look at that email from a client. So that means I can be very selective in which email I look at and check, and I'm not wading through hundreds of emails trying to find that email from a client or getting lost in that process. So email, learn to manage it, take control of your email. Don't be a slave to it. One of the important messages for taking control is to use quiet time. So my recommendation is you find a quiet time every day. For some people that will be in the morning before the work really starts. For others it will be in the afternoon or the evening after everybody's left and the phone stopped ringing and you can actually concentrate on things. It's important that you find a time of the day, it might only be for 45 minutes or an hour, where you can be quiet and focus on quadrant 2 activities and get things done. It might mean you have to engineer some quiet time by stepping out of the office and having a coffee or going somewhere quiet or somewhere away or sitting in your car or doing something. If you work in an office complex, a trick I used to use was to find somebody who was away and use their office, close the door and use their office because nobody expects you to be in there. So make sure you find that quiet time. You'll find it's probably some of the most productive things that you've done in the day. Make sure you turn your email off and your phone off so you actually got some quiet time. Meetings, some of the biggest time wasters around meetings. Make sure your meetings are productive. Have an agenda that you stick to, clear time frames for what you're going to discuss and how long it's going to take. Make sure that the people attending your meetings are the people that need to be there, that are not just there to make up the numbers, because you're wasting their time as well as yours. And make sure that every meeting you finish with action, so they're very action oriented. Stand-up meetings are a great idea. I find that as soon as people sit down there, you're there for 20, 30 minutes whether you like it or not. A stand-up meeting, people are keen to get on and move on. So use stand-up meetings and structure them so that they are really productive. One-page reports and pushing down. So if you've got direct reports, people will report directly for you. Often they will interrupt you to ask you questions which you can give them an answer to quickly. The reason why they ask you is because it's easy and convenient for them rather than easy and convenient for you, and they don't understand that interrupting you every 8 minutes just ruins your day for you. So one of the suggestions there is that you say to people, thanks, I'd love to help you, I can't right now. Why don't you go away and write me a quick one-page summary of the issue, give me some idea of the solutions you think might work, and then come back and discuss those with me. So you're pushing down those projects, pushing back that stuff to people, getting them to reflect on it, and you'll find that many of them won't come back. They've already thought of the answer. It's important, otherwise you just become the font of all knowledge, and maybe that's one of the reasons why you're a lousy time manager, is that belief system thing that you want to be the one that has all the answers. So think about that for a second. Another big time waster is the phone. We are hardwired to answer a phone, and I guarantee if I turned the phone on now and started ringing it, people would start to twitch and carry on if I didn't answer it. So just having the phone ring would drive them crazy. If you come to dinner at my house and we're sitting around the table eating an evening meal and the phone rings, we will not answer it. We'll let the answering machine take the message. And we've had people sitting at dinner with us who start to twitch and carry on and say, well, isn't somebody going to answer that? Go, like, it's the phone, you really need to answer it. And we go, no, we're cool. So we're hardwired to answer phones. So you need to learn how to manage your phone to turn it off so that you are not driven to answer the phone. So if you have a PABX system, then you may actually use the phone to use that system to actually divert the phone to a message bank or something else. I'm not suggesting you turn the phone off for hours on end, but for short periods of time, which we'll talk about in a second, it's probably a good thing. Mobile phones, the best part of a mobile phone is they have an on-off switch. Use it, take control, and turn the phones off. It will give you so much more freedom. The other thing to be wary of is impromptu meetings. So these are when people follow you into your office to have a meeting. If they turn up with a cup of coffee, they are there for 20 minutes whether you like it or not. So you want to have short, sharp meetings with people. One of the things to do there is say, happy to talk to you about that. I have 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however much time you have, but set the expectation right from the front that we need to get onto this quickly and get it sorted, because often the meeting is important to them, not important to you. So it's a quadrant 3 activity. The last tip here for taking control is listening to a podcast the other day in the car for some guys who are internet entrepreneurs, and one of the things they use is a countdown timer. So what they do is set the timer, they look at a task and say, right, I'm going to give myself 45 minutes to do that task. They turn off the phone, they turn off the email, they set the countdown timer, and work to that 45 minutes. With the counter timing down, they're really focused on delivering it because that's all they've got. So it's a great tool to get you focused on what you want to do. Countdown timers, you'll find them on your smartphones and those sort of things. My iPhone has one. Your iPad will have one. I'm sure that the Android phones have them. So you can use a countdown timer. You can probably find a desktop version if you like. There's a resource in our resource area called Kanban Flow, which has a countdown timer in it. It's quite a smart timer because what it does is, if you actually interrupt it along the way, it will get you to pause the counter and tell it why you paused it, what the interruption was. So it gives you a bit of an audit as to what things are interrupting your time. So a great tool there. Really important thing is that you take control. So good time management is about you taking control of your environment and also using the tools appropriately to actually help you be productive. Alright, so in summary, we talked about personal productivity. Really important that you understand the 3 stages. So and you need to work on all 3 stages. So you need to take control and structure in the structural element in stage 1. You need to make sure you're doing the right things in stage 2, and you need to understand what your mental models are that are making you either a good or a poor time manager as part of the belief systems. Make sure you do an audit. It's really hard to help you improve your time management if you don't know where you're spending your time. So do that audit and get it now. My advice is start it today, not tomorrow. So start it instantly and start recording your time and where you spend it and what you do. There's no time like the present to get across this. Make sure that you understand what your quadrant 2 activities are and that you build them into your timetable. So think about the quadrant 2 activities. The more time you spend in quadrant 2, the less time you're going to spend in quadrant 1. So make sure you do that. Use urgent and important as filters to help you set priorities around what you do. But it's really important that you make sure you're doing the right things. Some of those right things you need to be doing are quadrant 2 activities that are going to help you be really productive. And then lastly, we talked about taking control, and I think the big things here are the big rocks. Make sure you put the big rocks into your diary or into your time management or into your planning processes so you get them done and get them out of the way. Email, check it 2 or 3 times a day. Turn off the notification and use rules to help you sort it so that you're not wasting your time sifting through hundreds of emails. You are just looking at the ones that are important for you at a time that's appropriate. A quiet time, make sure you find time every day to focus on doing some of the things that you need to do. Take control of your meetings, take control of your phone calls, and lastly use a countdown timer. It's a tool that you'll find is really useful. Alright, just winding up here now. these tools and resources will be on the website. We'll have a recording of this webinar that you can watch again as recap or share with others. And the resources we're talking about here, you'll also have links to those. Books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. A great book, probably the best $20 I've ever spent, and highly recommend it. The other one, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, is a great model by a fellow called David Allen. That's about how to get things done, and it's a process for organising the things that you need to get done in and around your business. Some of the tools you might think of using, there's an online project management tool called Basecamp HQ. And it's a premium service you have to pay for. I think that starts at about $20 a month, but it's great for managing projects with other people. It includes a task manager, file sharing, that sort of stuff. The last one is a tool that I've come across recently called Kanban Flow, and you'll get it at kanbanflow.com. And it's task management software that's visual, it's web-based, and includes that smart timer that I talked about. And if I've got time here, I'll just show you it quickly. So this is the Kanban Flow screen. The way it looks, you can have multiple of these boards, and you can do things. But here's some example ones that I've sent in. You might say, right, today I've got to update the website. So you bring it over here, and you do that. You might want to tick this one off there and say, right, I've finished that one, and you drag it over into I finished that today. So you can. It's very visual. I find it's really useful. You can drag things around. If you want to, you can set dates and do all sorts of things and reminders on things, so that's fairly handy. And you've got this Pomodoro timer here where you say, right, and it works on a 25-minute thing. So you select a task and you say, we're going to work for it, and we're going to start working. So it counts down for you, and then you can go, right, let's stop that. Why did you stop? My boss interrupted me, or I was web browsing, or had a phone call. Alright, and you can start work again, and it'll start counting down for you again. So it looks at disturbances and what you did, and it gives you statistics and a work log. Anyway, a useful tool, and you can say, well, I finished it now. Okay, so that's some of the tools that you might be able to look at. If we can get the technology working here. Righto. I'll come back, honest, I will. Alright, there we go. So that's Kanban Flow. My apologies for that. The technology, I just lost it. Now the next webinar is on the 8th of November at 6 p.m. Victorian, New South Wales time. So that's 5 p.m. Queensland time. And it's on social media and you. How to use social and understand how you use social media in your business to give you more leverage. It's by our internet guru Fergal Coleman from Symphony 3, and I'd highly recommend that, another 30-minute webinar on a great topic. As I mentioned earlier, there's an online training offer as well. So HAL is offering 100 online training programs to Australian horticultural industry levy payers or employees of firms that are horticultural industry levy payers. You need to sign up now and complete the program by the 31st of December. You can register your interest on the website, and the same way you can register for the webinar on the website as well. Don't forget to register for the newsletter, which will keep you up to date with these things. There's the web URL there, horticulture-nextgeneration.com.au. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this program. We look forward to seeing you at other webinars and being part of the Horticulture Next Generation program. Don't forget to go onto LinkedIn, join our discussion forum, and participate in the program. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.